One. What's up, everybody? I'm really excited to have you here. It is kind of like your own personal version of the Sheepdog Nation podcast. Isn't that interesting, huh? Well, I'm using my microphone and everything, so I sound good. So I'm really excited to have you here. This is our first official Sheepdog family group call. We're going to be doing these every other week. The point of these is honestly, there's a lot of different reasons why I decided to do a call, but the biggest thing is I really want to build a morale and I want everybody to get to know each other in the group. And we can only do that so much when we are, typing to each other all the time, which is definitely obviously we can talk, which is awesome, but it takes it to this whole other level. It just really builds like, oh no, I know this person, I know this person. The second reason is because I want you guys to be able to talk with me, talk amongst each other. If somebody has a question, if somebody's dealing with some shit, I want you guys to be able to come and like actually conversate about it, which I think, not a lot of groups offer that. And I don't know, I think it's important and I want it and I want to be able to vent and I want to be able to talk, and only typing only makes me feel so good. You got to talk about it too. You got to really vent. So, and we're going to be, and also the third component to this is that because I'm actually going to be teaching you, I want to teach you, I want to train you. I also obviously wanted to provide you a very safe place to just kind of be yourself and vent and fucking, get support. But I also want to teach you and I want every person here to become better. Because in my philosophy in life is that you're never just standing still. If you're not moving forward, then you're moving backwards. And that's a quote directly from Tony Robbins, but I fully believe it. And I've seen myself play that out over and over and over again. So again, welcome. And if you are listening not live, a replay viewer, replay listener, want to welcome you too. And I'm excited that you're actually listening to the replay. So I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Today, a couple of topics that I'm going to talk about. And maybe, we have some officers on who, maybe want to talk about some other things. But there's two topics very specifically that we're going to be talking about. And the first one is because if you know me, and you all do, I sugarcoat nothing. And we're going to talk about the most important, in my opinion, problem in our career today, and that is the police suicide rate. I actually have some statistics, got an article we're going to talk about, and we're going to discuss it, and we're going to get real fucking real about it. And, because my goal obviously is to make a dent in this and come up with a reason, come up with reasons or come up with some fucking solution, something. And actually what's interesting is, so today is marks the completion of my grad school. So I will be this week be getting my degree, receiving it in it's criminal justice administration in grad school. And normally I would never recommend anybody to get that fucking degree, to be honest with you. That go get it in something else. But my police department paid for half of it, so I was like, fuck it, might as well just finish it, right? And anyways, what I did a lot of research on actually is I did a ton of research on leadership and how we can apply that in police agencies. And I specifically did one for my proposal. My project was about Detroit Police Department, like legitimately real. I did a ton of research on it. And I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about that. And the reason why is because you're going to be able to take what I've learned and what I did research on and like backed, like all this, like the studies and the statistics and all this shit was like backed by a ton of research. I didn't just pull this out of my ass. And you're going to be able to go and apply it or come up with some ideas and figure out how you can apply it in your own police department or your own life. Because again, we have a bit of a problem. So with suicide, so that's what so suicide and leadership, woo, two great topics, but actually they are good topics and they're life-changing. So those are going to be my topics. If we have questions, during this or at the end, you're going to hear from them. But if not, then that's what this call is going to be about. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing this link inside of our group. But it's the title of is for the third straight year in a row. Police suicides have outnumbered the line of duty deaths. Okay, 3 years in a row. And I'm going to read this to you because I'm not even going to try to fucking surmise it. It says the estimated number of law enforcement officers who died by suicide outnumbered those who died in the line of duty by the third straight year in 2018. A newly released study shows Blue Help which is a Massachusetts-based nonprofit, which, side note, I actually just went and followed. They don't have a big following, so I think all of us should go follow them. It's a Massachusetts-based nonprofit run by active and retired police officers, medical professionals, and victims' families, compiled and released grim data this week. According to the organization, at least 159 officers took their own lives in 2018, the same number of suicide fatalities in 2017, and in 2016, there was 19 less than that. So, I mean, think about that. 159. So we're between 145 to 159 in the last 3 years, every single year. By contrast, the estimated number of law enforcement officers who died in the line of duty last year was 145. 145 died in the line of duty, 159 took their own lives. It's over 300 officers. That's awful. And that's just in our country. Let's see. In December alone, 20 officers died by suicide, whereas only 10 line of duty deaths were reported. The single greatest cause of death for law enforcement each year is suicide. The suicide fatalities include 151 men and 8 women. The average was 41 years old and with an average length of service of 15 years. The 4 highest states were California, Florida, New York, and Texas. Joseph, you live in Texas. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Fucking Illinois was right behind there. And when you guys click on this link, it tells you like has all the states. And so those were the highest, but Illinois had 9 and Maryland had 9 and New Jersey had 8 and Pennsylvania had 8, which were all the next highest. So, just be paying attention. And I want to continue. It says, we know that there are other tragic deaths by suicide that we don't know about. So as bad as the number as we have this year, we're saddened by the fact that we don't really know. We don't know how high that number is because it's only the ones that are reported. According to experts, law enforcement officers die by suicide at a higher rate than those in other occupations aside from the military. Common threads between suicide have been cited, including pressures of the job. And that's what we're going to talk about. So just stand by. Some Reuter Family Foundation found that the first responders die by suicide at a higher rate than the general population. Yeah, we saw that. And then it tells you, okay, so then it breaks it down and it says this. It says suicide, the numbers. So in 2016 was 140, 2017, 159, 2018, 159, right? Everything else, the next highest is gunfire. It was 64 in 2016, 45 in 2017, 52 in 2018. After that is automobile crashes. And then we have heart attacks. Okay, so let's remember that. So we have suicide, gunfire, and then we have automobile crash, and then we have heart attacks. Okay. So suicide and heart attacks, let's say that's probably going to be pretty well correlated to fucking stress and pressure. If we're honest. And then, gunfire, it's part of the job, sucks. And then automobile crash, just pull your fucking head out of your ass for the most part. And you don't need to go 120 to every fucking call, even though we can, and I'll just be honest, it's part of the best part of the job. I guess you could speed, but it's not worth losing your life over. And then basically this, and then essentially what else this is saying is no money is going into figuring it out and addressing it and all this shit. Okay. So I'm going to share that. With you guys, what the article is so you can read it for yourself. But basically the reason I want to talk about this and I wanted to start this call out with this because one, I just don't know. So many people just fucking talk about it and they're like, yeah, we have a problem. We need to not be so stressed out. The pressures of the job, they're getting to us, right? But the thing is I think we've all established that the pressures of the job, that all that means is it's the pressure that we feel with the command staff and who we work for and who we work with. Okay. Because if we knew our command staff had our back and our supervisories had our back and our coworkers had our back, it wouldn't matter what the media was saying. It wouldn't matter what the public was doing and what the public opinion of us was. It wouldn't matter. None of that would matter. But it matters so much nowadays because our command staff worries so much about it. And that's the truth. And, and you guys hear me say a lot of this shit publicly. But, the truth is the truth is this. And like, I'm just going to be real, is the command staff really can make or break someone's career, right? If you let them. But sometimes it's not even about if you let them. But I think, you can't be so stubborn. Don't be so stubborn that you don't realize that this can happen. Okay. Don't be so stubborn to realize that like somebody can't literally fuck you over or take your life. And I'm not like, not take your life, but take your career, which essentially, as a cop, like it is our lives. You know what I mean? And a lot of us are like, geez, I don't know what I would do if I wasn't a cop. What would I do? And here's the cool thing about you guys in the position that you're in with me, is I've gone through that. So I've gone through fucking firsthand basis of like, I got told by my doctor, and like, I don't know if you guys ever knew the story, and I won't go so far into it, but I will tell you this. My doctor wrote me a note 3 different times at 3 different appointments, and I refused to bring in that fucking note, that doctor's note, because I did not want to get taken off the road. He's like, you need to get taken off the road. And I'm like, I'm not fucking getting taken off the road. I'm a cop. I'm not riding the desk. I'm going to fucking work. Nope. Yep. Fuck you, doc. Well, after the 3rd time that I didn't bring the letter in, he called my chief. And then I had to bring a letter in. And then that was awful. It was so awful. And you know what happened? Maybe you guys can relate, but I'm just going to tell you what happened. I handed it to my sergeant in briefing, and he got pissed at me. My sergeant was pissed at me because he had no idea what the background was. And I felt like right then and there, I felt so much pressure. And I know you guys can relate to this, but this is the stuff right here. I felt awful because not only did I not want to fucking get taken off the road, now I'm embarrassed. My sergeant is pissed at me. My sergeant is, my corporal, like they just completely got wicked awkward. Like they were all shooting the shit. Then I hand him this note and I'm like, Sarge, fucking A, I don't want to give this to you, but I don't really have a choice. And instead of being like, hey, Autumn, are you okay? Like, what happened? Man, I'm so sorry. I'm wicked sorry. Do you need to sit down? You want to take your duty belt off? Like, how can I help you? Instead of doing that, you know what he did? He got short. He took it, gave me, like, wouldn't talk to me. My corporal wouldn't talk to me. Then goes up to the chief and fucking, they come back down. They have this big meeting with me. And my chief accuses me of recording him because I have, I'm sure you guys can relate, but like I have that big iPhone, the big one, iPhone 7 or something, like the real big one that just doesn't fit in my pocket. So I set it on my desk and I said, Chief, I just want you to know this doesn't fit in any of my pockets. And I don't want you to think I'm recording you, but I'm just setting this right here, and he's like, are you recording me, Autumn? Should I be worried? And I look at him and I'm like, Chief, should I be worried? Like, why do you even care if I'm recording you? If you're going to say nothing inappropriate, then I don't understand why I need to be worried. So it's stuff like that. Like, I'm sharing that story with you, because I want you to know I've been there and I had to go and reinvent myself. Okay, fam? Like they tried to take everything from me. I mean, every officer that I worked with, about 3 of them still only talk with me. And I mean, I was the type of cop when I worked full time. It was 80 hours a week. 80 hours a week was minimum for me. There was a discussion about overtime. Yeah, fuck yeah. I got ordered over constant. I was ordered early and over late every single shift. And then sometimes you'd even get fucked over and order in on your day off. With that, the ordering on your day off, I cannot fathom. And that it will kill you quicker than anything. I know that. You know that. We work so hard and so many long hours, we need our days off. We're not really in control of that unless you're in the command staff. So bitching about it doesn't do anything. You're either going to doesn't do anything better for you. If you're getting ordered over, if the schedule isn't working for you, find a different police department. Those are your options unless you're head of the union, unless you can sit down and you can actually be a change agent within your agency, then do it. But don't be one of these cops that are just going to come, not even just here, but be in your life and just bitch about shit. And I'm saying that with so much love because I realized that when I was on the road stressful time that I'd be around all these cops who were making matters worse, you guys. Like they knew, like, and I did this. Like I couldn't fucking believe what had happened to me. And I was like calling my old partner and I was telling him about it. But then when I call him and like tell him about it, then he starts forming all these opinions. He's getting himself, now he's in a fucking position, right? Because he was not angry at the command staff, but then he became angry at the command staff because of what they did to me. And it wasn't even his problem. So now he's feeling the stress and he's walking around with like an extra 20 pounds of added stress on him. And it just, he didn't need that. I didn't need to do that to him. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is why we're here, in my opinion. I want to hear your opinion in a little bit if you're on this call live, but like, come and you can talk with us about it. But like when you're working within the same agency, like having a bitch fest with all the guys and girls you work with doesn't even make sense. It just causes more problems. If you're going to have a bitch fest, then it better be one where you're looking for a solution, because I ended up turning all of my like questions, all of my everything I was pissed off about. I turned it into, I'm looking for a solution. Okay, what is the solution? I need to find a solution. What is the solution? Because I can't continue to bang my head up against this wall. What is the solution? You know? And so I think that, you know, there's a lot that goes into the police suicides. I've had a lot of officers. I'm in a really cool position to, you know, put myself out there in such a way. And I've had a lot of officers reach out to me and be like, listen, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's the pressures within the command staff. You guys in here and in this group have told me it's the pressures of the command staff. And, you know, and it is, and I've experienced it. I mean, I could go on, and, you know, I could, and especially, and I'm not pulling the female card, but I can tell you that being a female, like, you know, I could just go on and fucking on. I had this sergeant who I didn't train, jujitsu with him. He wanted me to go train jujitsu with him at his fucking house. He like made some bullshit dojo, but he found out that I was a 2nd degree black belt and trained. He's like, oh, you should come over to my house. And I'm like, what? What? Oh yeah. So like the whole shift's going to come over to your house? No, me and you. I'm like, no, you know, like what the fuck? And then cause I didn't, he pulls me aside 3:00 in the morning. I'm working an overshift, pulls me aside. And you guys all know, you know, that 10 code for when your sergeant wants to meet up with you. For me, it was 1088. And you know when you get that 10 code and you're like, fuck, because it'll be like, you know, it'll be like 17 to 31. Yeah, you're like, go ahead. 1088. Fuck. What the fuck do they want, right? Like that's what you're thinking. You're like, fuck, what did I do? Blah, blah, blah. And what? So 3 a.m. I'm like fucking sleeping, dude. Like straight up. Overnights are not my friend. And he, you know what he says to me? He says, you got a problem with me? I'm like, excuse me? What? Like, what? what did I do? And like completely caught off guard. And he's like, I just said, you got a problem with me. And if you got a problem with me, you would address it with me right now. Blah, blah, and blah, blah, blah. Awful leadership. But the second thing is like, he just called me out because he didn't like the fact that like, I didn't want to hang out with him. You know what I mean? And that was hard. But what I'm trying to show you by demonstrating and telling you my stories is that the shit that you've gone through, we all go through. And it's that kind of shit, is that kind of animosity that builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. So from this brief conversation that you and I just had, there wasn't really a conversation, more probably a conversation in your head. I'm talking to you and you're probably going, yeah, or or I don't understand, or yeah, I completely fucking get it. Take this, okay? You will become a much better officer and you will become a much better leader. And this is my point for you guys, okay? Everybody in here, we are all leaders. If you are a police officer, you are a leader in society more than most. You are more of a leader than you could ever imagine. Doesn't matter if you're a rookie, if you're right out of the academy, or you've got 10 years on the road. It doesn't fucking matter. The minute you take that oath, the minute you put that uniform on, you become a leader in society, and nobody prepares you for it. Nobody trains you for it. Nobody gives you the heads up. Nobody teaches you how to act. And not only that, you don't have fucking role models. Like, I'm just going to be honest, you don't have any role models. And the role models that you have, 9 times out of 10 are fucking awful leaders. And I'm just calling a spade a spade. you obviously know I love law enforcement. I am extremely passionate about it. But I'm going to tell you right now, I do not wear the rose-colored glasses. And there are cops are human first, okay? And there's some humans in who wear our badge, who wear the uniform, that make me fucking sick, okay? And they are not good leaders, and they are part of the problem. But the problem is that they aren't helping themselves to become a part of the problem or become a part of the solution. You know what I'm saying? You're here, you're listening to me, and if you can take what I'm telling you and you can apply it, you will become part of the solution. Can't do it by myself, but I'm telling you right now, if enough of us get on board and start really taking like our own like leadership actions and skills and our attitude and we start applying it, you're going to change the culture because it's inevitable. And don't think that you don't have influence. Every good leader has influence. It just takes time, and you've got to become good at, influencing people, and I'm going to teach you. But anyways, so that's what I have to say about that. I'm probably always going to talk to you about the suicide rate. I'm always going to be talking to you. I'm always going to be trying to come up with ideas, things for us to do. But don't be stupid. If you see some officer having a hard time, put your ego in your pocket and talk to him. Take that officer out for fucking breakfast, dinner, coffee, whatever. Give him your cell phone and be there for him. The biggest thing in law enforcement that everyone needs to know is you are not the only one going through the shit that you're going through. Male or female, it doesn't matter. You are not the only one. You are not the first person to deal with whatever you're dealing with. And I promise you, you will not be the last. Okay. And I think, that that's a big problem. And I think that officers, they oftentimes feel stuck and they feel like nobody gets it. And they feel like they're like, no, I'll never be able, like, this is bullshit. Nothing will ever change. Why am I doing this? This is so monotonous. I'm not making any dents into society. I'm not changing the world. I got into this job to make a difference. I'm not making a difference. But listen to me. If you do things, okay, I'm going to break this down. I'm going to try not to get pumped up, but I am going to get pumped up. If you continue to do the exact same thing over and over and over again, and you are expecting different results, you are fucking insane. Because that is the definition of insanity, okay? And that's sometimes, most times, that's police work. You understand that correlation? Think about it. When has your police department started changing the way that you guys fucking police? And we can all be honest, some things are effective, some things that work, but there's a lot in what we do that do not work and they are not effective. And you know who knows how to make them effective? We do. You know who knows how to make these changes and make them last? We do, because we're out there and we're the ones working it, right? You know that. I know that. But yet nothing's happening. It doesn't mean it's never going to. It doesn't mean you can't help and you can't be that change agent. You just have to stop doing what everybody else is fucking doing. You got to take a step back. Okay. And I'm not saying you're going to go and you're going to start this fucking big change tomorrow because you had an idea. No, but maybe you're going to start doing little things differently and it'll catch on. Just trust me. It's called the compound effect. You start doing little tweaks, and day after day after day after day after day, they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally you're doing this thing that everyone's like, whoa, this is fucking awesome. So-and-so is doing this. I need to do what they're doing because it's effective. And then guess what? Now you are that change agent. Do you see what I'm saying? Just don't get into the mindset that there's nothing you can do, because I'm telling you, there's so much you can do. You're talking to a girl who literally had to spend a year on her couch, on her back, because my back was fucking killing me. My legs were numb. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. Could barely work out and all this stuff. And I got taken out of the one thing I fucking loved more than anything in the world, okay? I had to reinvent myself. Do you know how many people told me, oh, you're done. You're done. Get out of law enforcement. Time to change careers. Do you know how many people told me that? And do you know how many motherfuckers I was like, fuck you? And I, little by little, just doing my own thing. And it compounds. And I've done things, and I've reached over 26,000 officers worldwide because I decided not to give up. That's it. It's simple. And if you think it's easy, it's not. And if I know you probably, maybe you can't exactly relate to that one example, but just understand it very much. It can apply to you in your situation. Okay. So combining kind of that leadership topic and the police suicide topic, like just to wrap it up, don't be the person who fucking makes, pulls up car to car and just talks a bunch of shit and this is gonna change. Because look at those officers. We know that. There's always those fucking people at the police department. There needs to be change. There needs to be change. But what the fuck are they doing? What are you doing? What are you doing for the change? I had a really good friend of mine. I love him still. He was a veteran officer, but that's all he would do. He would just walk around and say, we need to change. This needs to be changed. But he was so bitter because, he spent a lot of years in law enforcement, and he didn't really have a ton of support, maybe a couple partners who supported him. But at the same time, that didn't help because they weren't having conversations like this. They weren't having conversations like this. They were just having the fuck this place, fuck that guy, chief this, chief that, fucking this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. How good do you really feel after you have those conversations with somebody? Like, let's just be real. At first you feel good because you're like, yeah, damn, fuck yeah. I'm not the only one. And then you're like, fuck, it didn't feel very good. You know what I mean? Right? So don't do that. Don't do that. Be a part of the change. Okay. That doesn't mean you can't be a listening ear, but that means just, and listen, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice because if you don't want to be an outcast, let me give you a little bit of advice. Don't be the fucking cop who's like, somebody comes up to you, like one of your fellow officers, and they're just bitching to you, and you look at them and you're like, it's not that bad, man. It's not that bad. Like, life's great. Like, blah, blah, blah. You're fucking crazy for feeling like that. Don't be like that, okay? Because you know the truth. You know the truth. You know how they feel. You've got to validate them. And I know it's like, it sounds a little funny, but like you gotta validate them and you can just be like, yeah, man, I understand. I totally get it. You're so valid in how you feel. Hey, have you thought of like looking at it this way though? Hey, have you thought about like being the change and doing this? Have you thought about, doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope you understand that because I think that just that simple thing right there, that leads to a lot of problems. Like you no longer become approachable. People don't like you because you've got your head in the sand, and that's what they say, right? And then like as the officer who's like trying to talk with you, maybe that officer's like, man, maybe I am fucking crazy. Man, maybe I can't do this job anymore. Fuck, I gotta get out. They don't feel that way. Susie she always feels this. She totally is a cop's cop, and if she's not feeling this way, I must be super fucked up. I've got to be the only one who fucking feels like this, right? And so now we're going down a real bad rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? So take my advice from that and don't be doing that. Okay, that's what I have to say. That's everything I wanted to say today because I think that that's a lot, and I think that you can go and you can apply that. Do you guys have questions? Does anybody want to get on? Say anything? Ask me any questions. Have anything to say at all, you're welcome to unmute yourself. I think Teresa's trying. It went unmute. Maybe it didn't. Yeah, she did. What's up, girl? Well, it says you're unmuted, but I don't hear you.
How about now?
Yep, I hear you now.
Yep. There we go. No, I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate today's conversation. Struggling with this a bit at work right now, so that's why I'm in the process of trying to make some career changes and all that. So
yeah, you're welcome. What do you think? Like, what hit home for you, or what are you going through? What can we help you with? What can we talk about?
So, and I believe Joseph might have been the one that posted this a couple days back about struggling with the, just the constant feeling like you're an outcast thing. I struggle with that a lot at work because I'm a major overachiever. So I don't do it to outshine everybody. I just do it because that's just my personality. But it's constantly just listening to those people all the time, like, why do you do all this? And, why do you bother? And, blah, blah, blah. And I'm actually recently promoted to our union vice president. So trying to take that extra step to enact some of this change myself. But
Mhm.
it's just that same thing. You catch yourself being in that struggle with other officers and bitching and complaining, and you don't
Mhm.
think it's that big of a deal till you hear somebody step out and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't complain so much.
Mhm. Mhm. And like, and you're right. And Teresa, it's so true, right? Because it is. And like I've worked at a couple different agencies, and like, you don't realize that we kind of bitch together because it kind of makes us like relate to one another, right? We're like, okay, like,
Right.
we kind of do that. But then, and it's cool that, like, honestly, like, I'm not going to say don't do a little bit of it. Of course, like, be one of the guys, be one of the girls, be a fucking cop. Like, that's what it is. But then, like, after a few minutes of that, like, just fucking realize, like, that, okay, we vented, we got our bitch session up. Okay, so now how can we apply change? Like, what can we do? And how can we change our mindset? And, like, even if it's not big things, but how can we apply the little things? Because there's a book called The Compound Effect, and there's this author, and his name is Darren Hardy. And it's a business book, but it's a mindset book, and it's damn good. And essentially, what he says is every single day, the littlest things that you do will compound. And I think that's the biggest thing with cops, right? Is because it's kind of a little bit intimidating to go out there and be like, okay, we're gonna do this thing, and it's this big change, right? It's they you know that veteran cops, they're not about change, like they just aren't. And then so it's hard for us to be like, okay, we're just going to make this big change. But if you can do it slightly every single day, you're gonna end up having a big impact. But you're also going to feel good too, because I don't know if how good it feels to not be able to relate to the officers that you work with. And I feel like one way we all relate to one another is kind of swapping the stories or swapping the bitching, you know. So yeah. Well, Teresa, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That makes me feel good. I was on point today. And Joseph, do you have anything you want to say before we hop off?
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations on your accomplishment today,
Hey, thanks. Appreciate that.
and thank you for the topics today. Were actually really on point because those are
Good.
two of the biggest things we struggle with, like just on the daily.
Hmm.
Is and yeah, it's nice to have a place to actually vent and not look down upon,
Yeah.
especially when you like. Because I only have like I think I only have I've only had I've been with my sheriff's office for almost going on 13 years now, and I've only had one sergeant
Wow.
that I could actually go to and be like, hey, this is what I got.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's nice to actually have like-minded individuals to talk with and talk to, and it really helps.
And I couldn't agree more. And thank you. Thanks for pointing that out. And congrats on the 13-year thing, man, because that's pretty damn good. I won't lie. Talking to a girl
Yeah,
who she moved around a little bit.
I got to 8 years with my sheriff's office, and that's when you're vested, so you're
Oh,
guaranteed retirement.
yeah.
And I can't. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, I can't just up and go.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. And and that's the thing too. I want to say that too is and I kind of got to hound on this a minute, and so I'm sorry because I'm going to repeat myself, but I'm going to say this over and over and over again. I think every single time I talk with you guys, you're going to hear me say this because I just believe in it so fucking much. And it really is, it's the leadership, man. It's this leadership. It's command staff, right? Like Joseph just said, I only had one sergeant I can go to. It's true. It's so true. And for a woman, that's so many less. There's so many less. I remember not the first agency, the second agency I worked for. There was, it was my favorite agency I ever worked for. And I had to leave because my husband, he's a state trooper from 2 hours south. And I fucking, he wasn't my husband back then. And I moved and I don't regret it, but as you can tell, I miss my agency. But anyways, um, there was only one sergeant, and I actually sat down with him and I was like, Sarge, I got to talk with you. Cause he was the only sergeant that maintained a marriage, and he had 20 years on the road, and he was a fucking evening shift sergeant. And I worked for a very busy agency, and I asked him, I said, Sarge, I got to ask you something. How did you do this? How did you balance this? Like, this is fucking nuts. Like, I work 80 hours a week, barely see my boyfriend, and like, I don't see my family. And like, how do you do this? And he leveled with me, and he said things to me, and he was just so real. And you guys, I never found anybody else to do that with me. And if there's anything, maybe, especially Joseph, you've been on the road a long time. Teresa, I bet you've got some time on the road too. Don't forget that. In my replay viewers, listen up. And it doesn't matter if you've had a fucking hour on the road, because there's somebody who's less time on the road than you. So just pay attention to this. Be that person. Be that person. Be that change agent. Okay? Have the conversations. And those are hard ones. Those are hard. You gotta put your ego in your pocket, man. And you really gotta not be that fucking Superman cop for a minute. You gotta just be a person, and you gotta just be like, hey, like, I just want to prepare you. I know you're new on the job. Here's kind of what it looks like, but it's not that bad. If you get into a flow, if you get yourself a support system, if you do this, if you do that, you're going to be just fine. But if you aren't, then you are going to see that there's officers in this, agency that you will end up like if you don't get your shit together now. And I want you to know you can talk to me anytime you want. You just be that person, because can we all be honest? Didn't we all want that? Like, why didn't somebody fucking pull me aside? And why there was a couple other women ahead of me. Why wouldn't they fucking pull me aside and be like, listen, this is going to be hard. There's no doubt about it. You're intimidated. The job is intimidating. Your husband, your boyfriend, whoever the fuck, they're going to be intimidated because you're with men 24/7. But you know what? Don't worry about it. Here's how you handle it. Don't flirt with them. Don't wear low cut shit. Don't put a ton of makeup on. Don't look like a girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, just fucking do this and you're going to be fine. Like, why didn't somebody do that with us? Fuck. You want to know why? It's because they were so fucking caught up in, one, either being intimidated by you, or two, in their own fucking woe is me negativity bullshit. That's why. Don't be that way and don't get caught up with it. Okay? All right. That's what I have to say. And if you guys need anything at all, you'd come right into the group. You can actually like PM. I don't know if you guys knew this, but like you can actually like message each other privately or message me in that group. But you guys can always, that you can just message me on Instagram anyways. I answer that all the time. If you need anything, again, I'm just very thankful that you guys are here. This is, this is new, and I would be lying to you if I told you that, there's been a lot of cops that reached out to me, a ton actually, and it's been awesome. But then when they're like, I've got to pay for something, no. And I have to laugh a little bit, but I just want to say, like, it will, hopefully, I'm praying that it will catch on. And I just want to say, like, thanks for like taking a chance from the bottom of my heart. Like, thanks for taking a chance and believing in me on something that's pretty revolutionary, because I've got big plans for this. Like, this is not, like, this isn't it just forever. I've got plans. I want to get us some private guest speakers, maybe some people that I put on my podcast. I'm going to have them come talk to us, privately, so we get to have conversations with them, and stuff like that. And I'm also, what I'm going to be doing, and if you have a recommendation on a company, I'd love to hear it, because I want to find a company that'll sponsor us. Maybe give us like cool swag or whatever. And the reason why, because you guys know I'm doing this. We're here. We want to change law enforcement, but we want to put a dent in the fucking suicide rate, right? And I can only do so much, when we can only do so much, as individuals, but we come together, we get some momentum behind us. I think we can do big things. So anyways, if you have any suggestions on that, and cool companies, they got to be a little bit bigger. I've reached out to some, but yeah. And all those, I don't know. I got some bad fucking, some of like the bigger like cop companies, like you think that they're like, oh yeah, they back the blue. They do not fucking back the blue. Let me tell you. I've unfortunately had a lot of run-ins with them. I'm not going to name drop or anything, but so that kind of sucks too. I hate that. Anyways, those are my plans. So we're going to move forward to. If you guys have ideas, recommendations, let me know. If you want to help me spread the word, I'd totally appreciate it. We're just going to keep going at it. All right. I will see you guys inside. Bye.